Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and I'm going to start a new series, or this is going to be like the pilot episode for a new series. If this episode does pretty well, then I'll continue to make videos like this. If it doesn't, then yeah, I'll probably just drop it off. This is one of those things where I'm just testing the waters on it. But anyways, today's video is going to be a buyer's guide on a Ram 1500, and more specifically, a buyer's guide on a 2019 or 2020 Ram 1500, which is known to people that actually work for Ram as the DT body style. The old body style is known as the DS. So I'm just going to be talking about the DT body style, or the new body style that was released in 2019 that you can also get for 2020 and will also be available in 2021. Now, just to give like a quick synopsis of what I'm going to discuss in the buyer's guide. In the first part of the buyer's guide, I'm going to go over the different trim packages that you can get with the Ram 1500. And then I am going to get into the options that you can get on those actual trim packages. And then finally, I'm going to sum things up with which packages I recommend you to go for, which ones I think are a good deal and which ones I think are a bad deal. And I'm going to kind of point some things out when I am mentioning the trim packages, and more specifically the options as well. Now let's get into the first part of the video and go over the trim packages that are offered on the 2019 and then also the 2020 Ram 1500. So I'm going to go from least expensive to most expensive. Now, in terms of trim packages, you've got the Tradesman, which is the least expensive. Then up from that, you have the Bighorn. And then up from that, you have the Laramie. And then kind of almost in between the Laramie and the Bighorn, it's like its own standalone package really, is the Rebel. And then you have the Longhorn, which some people will call the Laramie Longhorn. I'm just going to call it the Longhorn just for video's sake, just not to confuse people especially too. And then finally at the top, you have the Limited. Now, going back all the way down to the Tradesman's like your entry-level work truck package. That's kind of what most businesses would probably purchase, and it's not going to come with a whole lot. The Tradesman basically is going to have cloth seats. You'll have a backup camera. You can get it in two-wheel drive or four-wheel drive. You can get it with every single engine. By the way, all of these trucks you can get with every single engine, and I will discuss the engine options later in the video. But you can get it with every single engine option. You can get stuff like Bluetooth. You can get a power sliding window on it. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty much like your just base model truck, no power seats, all that kind of stuff. So not a lot of technology. The next one up from that is the Bighorn. Now, the biggest things that the Bighorn adds are fog lights as like standard equipment on most Bighorn packages. And then another thing that you can get with the Bighorns is just the nicer cloth seats they come with compared to the Tradesman's, just a little bit nicer. Super similar, but just a little bit nicer. The next thing with the Bighorn is they'll make stuff like power sliding window standard on a 1500. You'll get power seat for the driver. You get a little bit nicer infotainment system as well with a Bighorn. But just the biggest thing, I guess, is just a few more luxury amenities with the Bighorn, and they're just a little bit nicer on the interior. And the Bighorn is one of the most popular packages for Ram due to the features that it has, but then also due to the fact that that typically is the biggest discounted truck in terms of rebates. And so usually the Bighorn is the least expensive truck. Believe it or not, a lot of times you can buy a Bighorn for less than a Tradesman. Now, the next step up from that is the Laramie. Now, the Laramie is kind of like your entry-level luxury package, and it'll come with the leather seats. They've got like the suede inserts on them now with the interior on these seats. And the Laramie will do stuff like LED lights as standard equipment. You get power seats just like in the Bighorn power sliding window. They'll come with a bigger touchscreen as standard, the 8.4-inch touchscreen. And the biggest thing, again, is just the interior gets nicer on the Laramie. You get like heated, cooled seats. As standard, heated steering wheel is standard. You get the Alpine sound system, which is a nicer sound system as standard equipment. But yeah, that's the biggest thing about the Laramie. You just get all these luxury features as standard equipment, and that's like your entry-level luxury truck. Now, there are a couple packages on the Laramie and the Bighorn. I waited to get to Laramie to mention this, that you can do to change the exterior appearance. That's like the Sport package, which will give you like body-colored bumpers. And then on the Bighorn, you can get like the Night package, and you can also get that on the Laramie. So there's stuff like that that'll also change stuff, but that'll be more in the options section. The next package is the Rebel. Now, the Rebel's like your off-road package. gives you HD shock absorbers, gives you a little bit more aggressive tires, different bumpers, kind of like a custom interior on the Rebel. You can get like red accenting on the interior. The Rebel's equipment-wise is more similar to a Bighorn because you don't get cooled seats like in a Laramie. And if you get a Rebel 12, you get nicer leather seats. If you get a standard Rebel, you get like vinyl seats, which is what I had in my Rebel. I liked them at first because they're comfortable, but then the vinyl was very easy to tear, I actually found, which was kind of disappointing. But yeah, so you get pretty much all the same stuff as you get in a Bighorn, but then a couple extra features, and then obviously it's like the off-road package. The next one is the Longhorn, which is like your Western themed package, and that's going to come with real leather that's definitely more premium. You get like nice wood trim in the Longhorn. You get different headlights compared to any of the other trucks. They're projector bulbs instead of reflector bulbs. Like in a Laramie, for example, they are still LEDs though. And that's the biggest change to the Longhorn. It has similar equipment as the Laramie, but you just get nicer leather, you get wood trim, and it's kind of more like a Western theme on the interior. So most Longhorns will come with like just like a fully tan interior. So if you want like a cowboy truck, that's what the Longhorn's for. And then finally you have the range topping Limited, and the Limited is like your fully loaded luxury truck. Comes standard with pretty much everything. There are a few options that you can add to them, but they come standard with pretty much everything. The Limited is going to have the really nice leather. The other thing the Limited will come with is obviously power seat for the driver and the passenger. You get the projector LEDs like on the Longhorn. You get nice wood trim, leather throughout the entire interior. And that's really the biggest thing about the Limited is you just get a bunch of these like really nice luxury features just like in the Laramie, but you also get the really nice interior and you get a different exterior. And so really most of the money in the Limited is going to be going towards the actual interior itself, like real leather, real wood, all that kind of stuff. Let's quickly get into options on the trucks. Now, like I said, you can get every single engine option in all of the trucks. It doesn't really matter. The first engine option is the 3.6 liter V6 e-torque. And then you've got the 5.7 liter Hemi. Then you have the 5.7 liter Hemi e-torque. And then now they have the new EcoDiesel, which is a 3 liter V6. In terms of power figures, that initial V6 is right around 300 horsepower and about 300 pound-feet of torque. And then the Hemi itself is 395 horsepower and then 410 pound-feet of torque. And then the EcoDiesel is 260 horsepower and then 480 pound-feet of torque. And like I said, you can pretty much get those in all the trucks. The only restrictions really I've noticed is that the Limiteds only come with the e-torque Hemi or the V6 or the EcoDiesel. You cannot get like a regular Hemi Limited anymore. So that was kind of the only restriction I noticed there. Now the other thing is just packages. Most of the stuff in terms of packages is just going to be appearance wise. So like on a Laramie, for example, you can get a sport package. On a Bighorn, you can get a sport package. It just makes the bumpers body colored essentially. Maybe gives it better, bigger rims on like a Laramie. The other stuff is like the night package, which will black everything out. You get like a black front grille. And then Unlimited, you have like the black appearance package. So there's a lot of exterior packages. So research into those and see kind of how you want the truck to look. And then the other stuff is just interior options. Now this is the stuff that as kind of like a buyer's guide, I'd recommend to be careful on because options depreciate far more than the actual package itself, so like the truck itself. So like a Laramie will depreciate at a certain rate. A Laramie with power side steps will depreciate, those power side steps will depreciate at a higher rate than the Laramie itself. Hopefully that makes sense. But yeah, with the options, I would definitely try to just get what you need and don't get what you don't need, if that makes sense. Because Ram is just like infamous. I wouldn't say infamous, but they have a lot of options. Like you could have a truck that starts at $40,000 and then you could add $15,000 in options. Like that's how many different options there are on the Rams. It's crazy. The ones that I would recommend to get on pretty much every single truck, the first one is the 392 rear end. That gives you the max towing capacity, also makes the truck just drive better. And I know some people are going to comment, well, you don't get as good fuel economy. That is true, but you're buying a truck, and also the fuel economy difference between 321s and a 392 isn't that much, but a 392 rear end truck it drives so much better. And obviously the extra towing is nice. The other thing is, if you do any off-roading and you don't want to buy a Rebel, you can get the off-road group on like a Laramie or Bighorn. I definitely recommend looking into that. You can even get it on a Limited, for example. Any of the appearance packages, I'd look at those because, especially like the blacked out packages, like a Night Edition or a Limited Black appearance group or a Rebel Black group, those ones just all look really good on the trucks, and they may not increase resale value, but they can help sell the truck quicker down the road just because people love them. I love them. I would, if I was buying a used truck, I definitely want like a blacked out package on it. But anyways, other packages to kind of look into is just like some of the random luxury features, right? Do you want a sunroof? Do you want power steps? Do you want the premium sound system? Do you want 360 cameras? All that kind of stuff. Pick and choose what you want on that. If you want to get everything, get everything. But like I said, those will depreciate far more. And so just kind of be aware of what you're getting and look at the base MSRP on the truck that you're buying and then the total MSRP after the options that you've added, and see if you really need all those features that you've added, because it's always better to kind of cut options if you can, because again, they are going to depreciate at a much higher rate. And if you're not planning on keeping this truck forever, which most people don't, then yeah, you're going to want to try to save money on that kind of stuff. But just to reiterate, if I went from trim package to trim package to trim package, across the board, I'd recommend the Hemi as kind of like my go-to engine on the trucks. In terms of features on a Tradesman, I really wouldn't add much to it. Maybe a little bit nicer radio on it is all I would add, just for like creature comfort. On a Bighorn, I'd for sure get the heated seats and heated steering wheel. I'd probably do like an appearance package on it. Like I said, 392 gears across the board as well. And the other stuff on a Bighorn is I might add the dampened tailgate and stuff like that, just because if someone was buying that truck, they'd want that remote start. Definitely would add that on the Bighorn package. And then coming up to the Laramie, I wouldn't go crazy on it. Again, I would personally probably add like an appearance package, a sport package, or a Night Edition, just because those come with a couple options on top of it. Like the Night Edition gives you steps, which side steps I'd recommend on any truck. Just getting in is kind of difficult sometimes. But it gives you steps and it gives you some nicer features like a charging pad. So in a Laramie, I would probably go for a Night Edition if I was getting that package. And then other than that, I mean, if I really wanted a sunroof, I'd add a sunroof, and that's pretty much it. I'd keep things pretty simple. On a Longhorn, or sorry, not Longhorn, we got to go to Rebel first. On a Rebel, I'd add the Black Rebel group. Again, appearance package, and with owning the Rebel that I owned, I would go for the Rebel 12 package at that point. I definitely think the Rebel 12 package is a good one to go for. But other than that, I mean, I really wouldn't add too much onto it. It already has 392 gears as standard. Now with the Longhorn, I would definitely add the level 1 equipment group so that I can get like the power running boards, all that kind of stuff. They do come standard with spray and bed liner. But yeah, I would definitely add that onto a Longhorn. Other than that, I wouldn't really add much else. If I was buying a Limited, I would get the black appearance group because I think it looks so much better, and I think that it's definitely going to be a lot easier to sell down the road. Now, that being said, I would also get the level 1 equipment group on a Limited, just because that comes with a bunch of cool features and is definitely worth investing into. And yeah, I mean, that pretty much is like my generalized basic spec for each truck. Now, that was kind of just like a basic look at a buying guide on it. Now, the last thing after going through the different models and then trim packages is I would just check your incentives before you buy any used Ram or new Ram even. If you're buying a used one, obviously shop the market, try to find the best deal. There's not really a whole lot to look out for in terms of reliability. The one thing I would do is I would definitely look to buy a truck with a regular Hemi, not an e-torque for the 2019s, just because the e-torque still isn't tested. I haven't seen any issues with it, but it's still not like super tested. And then the other thing is, if you can get a truck with standard suspension instead of the air suspension in terms of like a Rebel or a Laramie, again, I'd recommend doing that just if you're planning on keeping the truck for a long time. And if you are buying a used truck, it usually fares better with the standard suspension. But other than that, there's not really any particular options or anything to really look for other than those little things in terms of like just reliability concerns, I would say. But yeah, definitely if you're looking at a used truck, if it's not at a Ram dealership, I would get it inspected by a third party so they can especially check the suspension. And more than the suspension, definitely the front end, like the whole front end of the truck, I would for sure get that checked out, because there was a huge issue with the 2019s with the front ends, with like the sway bar links, all that kind of stuff coming loose. So definitely look into that, and then obviously have them check the whole system with the exhaust and all that, just for any leaks or anything. Now, I guess capping things off, on the new side of things, you're not going to be looking at reliability things because it's a new vehicle, so it's probably not going to have any issues. Well, hopefully it doesn't have any issues. But check rebates with a new vehicle for sure. See what the rebates programs are. And with Ram, I would definitely be open to custom ordering a vehicle, because there's not a huge price difference between a custom order and a vehicle in the lot with most dealerships. Some dealerships will try to definitely squeeze way too much money out of you for custom orders, so just find the right dealership. The dealership that I worked at was very good at that, with giving people good deals on custom orders. But look at the rebate programs, and I mean, on a Ram truck, just because there's so many Dodge Ram dealers and there's just so much competitiveness, you can pretty much get for sure invoice on any truck, if not under invoice on any single truck. So definitely expect to be able to see an invoice with a Ram dealer, and you know, you can try to negotiate off of invoice itself, just because of what the market is like with that truck. Ram dealers really, they just gouge each other, and it's crazy how much they discount their vehicles compared to other manufacturers. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. Hopefully that video wasn't too long. It felt like it was a pretty long video, sadly. But yeah, if you guys want me to make more buyer's guides, definitely let me know. And again, I'm going to be looking at the performance of this video, and if it performs well, then I'll continue to make these buyer guides with obviously other vehicles, and then other makes, models, just everything. I'll make buyer's guides for as much stuff as I can if this is a series that does well. If you're stopping for the first time, please subscribe, comment down below what you think, and then I will see all of you in that next video.